Welcome back, everybody. This is DroidAttic. Today we're going to be taking a look at the AOKP ROM built by Roman, and he has developed this for the Galaxy Nexus GSM as well as the LTE and the Nexus S, Nexus S 4G. So definitely check it out. It's definitely worth a look. We are using the Galaxy Nexus LTE version with the extended battery like always. And I got to tell you guys, I got a few mixed feelings about this ROM just from some of the pros and cons, which we'll get into in a little bit. But first off, as always, we'll take a look at the battery. And battery life has not been very impressive with this ROM. I gotta admit, with the stock kernel that comes built into the ROM, I would probably recommend trying a different ROM kernel combination like iMozion's, which has probably been my favorite kernel for the Galaxy Nexus by far. And right now we're about 12 hours, 48 minutes on battery, 2%. And screen on time has been about an hour and 52 minutes. Typically with other ROMs like Gummy Next and Codename Android, we've seen that usually we get about 2.5 hours of screen on time before the battery has gotten to 2% or 1% mark. So compared to those, not too impressed overall. Haven't been doing a lot of other things today. I've been on 3G most of the day, and but the battery life overall hasn't been too impressive with the stock kernel, like I said. But let's get into the impressive stuff. So we'll jump right into settings, go into the ROM control, which is their nice little toolbox they've thrown together. And got a nice little unicorn picture there. So jumping right into it, there are a lot of options in here. I was actually really surprised to see how many different options were built into this toolbox that I haven't seen in a lot of other ROMs. So jumping into general UI, you can disable boot animation, disable bug mailer, allow 180-degree rotation, horizontal recents window, which is pretty cool because it's like a WebOS style of your recent apps button. So you can see whenever we do this, you actually get the WebOS style where you can just kind of flick up and allow those to go away. It was a little bit choppy at first whenever I started using, but overall it's actually a really cool feature to have built into the toolbox here. So you can disable the CRT off animation, showing IME switcher, excuse me, that's hard to say, which will allow you to basically whenever you have a different keyboard installed other than the stock keyboard, usually there's a notification up in the status bar that gets really annoying, so you can actually disable that or enable it. Custom carrier label, hold back to kill apps, rotation delay. A lot of people complain about the rotation on the Galaxy Nexus not being fluid enough or quick enough for them, so you can actually go in there and adjust that, which is pretty cool. So navigation bar, which is the buttons down here, you can do your menu location, menu visibility, so if you want to always have the menu button applied, you can do that. Navigation bar color, so you can change the buttons down here at the bottom without having to flash an additional zip file. You can choose which buttons are enabled, so if I wanted to get rid of the search button, then we could just do that just on the fly right there built into the toolbox, so that's really nice to be able to do that as well. Navigation button order, so you can actually change what order the buttons are in. Now this is actually pretty cool because typically you definitely have to have a zip file to be able to do this. You can actually change the button glow animation to where it just doesn't do it at all, super quick, or normal. So whenever you're actually pressing those buttons, you can see that goes a lot quicker than the standard animation that's usually behind it. You can also change the transparency and long press the home button, so you can long press the home button to actually pull up your recent apps instead of doing the old recent apps button there. So jumping into the next part is our lock screen options. Now I don't know if this is just me being dumb once again, maybe I just haven't played around with it enough, but some of the options, like out of the box stock, whenever you flash it, you have 4 different options. So you got 2 lock buttons right here, you have a camera, and you can't actually see the other one, but if I go into this, that'd be camera as well. So I've tried to adjust it where it's just the stock lock screen and it doesn't seem to stick. So I don't know if that's just me being dumb or not knowing, what option to select specifically or what the deal is. But going on, we got lock screen style, which is, where you can do the stock, quad, or octo, which, like I said, on stock, maybe that is just the stock that's built in. I'm not really sure. Menu unlock, wait to lock the screen, so you can actually change how quickly your screen locks. If you want it to lock instantly whenever you press the power button, or wait a couple seconds, you can do that. Do a volume wake, where you press the volume keys to wake up the screen. Volume music controls, which is pretty cool. You can hide your nav bar or do the horizontal lock screen as well, and then also you can change custom apps 1 and 2. So I guess that is just the stock that's built in to have all 4 of those buttons generated there. So it is what it is. Power menu options you can do where you can show the screenshot button or not. And then you have your power saver options, which is something really cool. I really haven't seen this in any other ROMs before. but you can enable power saver to where whenever you get to a certain battery percentage, it'll start to disable certain things, or it'll do certain things whenever you're connected to Wi-Fi, or turn off your screen, which is actually really cool to be able to do that. A lot of HTC phones or Motorola phones have those built in, but our Nexus phones don't typically have that. So you also have your LED options for pulse on, pulse off, and your color. So that's pretty standard. Your general settings, you can you use the default settings behavior, which is basically whenever you press the settings button right here, it'll go right into settings. Because out of the box stock ROM, with that, whenever you long press that, it'll jump right into settings. So that kind of changes that option for you there. So you also get into your toggles. So this is all your status bar customization here. So what's cool about it is that you'll notice there are no toggles right there at the top, but whenever I press the settings button, you get all your different toggles that you've enabled. So you can actually change which toggles are up there, and also the order that they're in. You can also change the style, so you can have no icon, no text, icon only or text only, which is what I have enabled right now, to where I just have the text. And then you get cool little switches. So that's kind of a cool little way, different style that I've seen to have toggles up in your status bar. So that's actually pretty cool to be able to do that. And I thought that was a really nice innovation, something I really like to be able to do. You also have clock location, so right in the middle like I like it. AM, PM style, change the clock color, and then you can enable or disable your alarm info. You also have battery bar, and this is something that was really weird. There aren't really a lot of options for your battery. You can just have it with the percentage. But you can show the battery icon, you can show the battery text, but then whenever you do that, you can actually have it where it's off-centered. I'm not really sure the purpose of that, because most people like to have that centered just because it looks cleaner. But it is what it is. You can also have the battery bar, which this is actually really cool because it's not just at the top. You can actually have it in the status bar, or you can have it at the top of the nav bar down here. Right there, you see that. And then you can have it at the bottom of the nav bar, at the very bottom there. So that's pretty cool that you're actually able to have the MyUI battery bar in different locations, something else I haven't really seen. And then you also have the charging animation with that battery bar style, battery bar color, battery bar thickness. So you got a lot of different options with that MyUI battery bar, which is pretty cool. And then down at the very bottom we have performance. So you have your max CPU, min CPU, scaling governor. You can set those min and max at the boot, and then you can free memory, and you can also set that at the boot as well. So there's nothing in here as far as changing your voltage styles. That's something that Keyjar built into his Gummy Next ROM, which is really cool to be able to have. So you will have to use a third-party application like Set CPU to be able to do that. So let's just do a little quick wrap up here. So we got our pros being awesome toolbox. Another pro that I didn't really mention earlier, but there is a lot of support from different themers and people that create additional zip files to be able to do things. There's a lot of support for this ROM, probably more than any other ROM that I've actually seen. So there's great ways to find different add-ons and everything like that. Some of the cons, the battery life, like I said, with the stock kernel that's built in with this ROM, is not going to be that impressive to you. I would definitely recommend finding another ROM kernel combination to be able to use. Because the one that comes preloaded with the ROM is not going to be that great for you, just from my experience itself. Another con that we actually had, I'll bring it up now, was that data seemed to be a little bit flaky on 3G. I'm not sure if that was just Verizon working on the towers in my area, but data just seemed to be a little bit slower for me. Pandora was buffering a lot, and there goes our phone powering off here at the end of our review, so that works out perfect. But like I said, it's definitely a ROM to check out. I definitely would recommend to check out the thread that I'll post in the underbar. And make sure you subscribe. Check us out on Twitter, DroidAttic, and I will put in Roman's Twitter link in the bottom as well, so you can check out, get all the latest updates from him. And we'll see you on the next ROM. Thanks, guys.